Is the demise of running backs, we're quite literally watching the NFL pendulum swing before our eyes. Is the demise of running backs fair?
Yes, it's fair because it's the evolution of the sport. And when it's evolution of that business in every way.
No new contracts being made. There's no new comparables that are actually relevant because there's been a set number set on guys. From a player's aspect, we have no control of that. I have no control. So really who we want answers from is the ownership. Like, why are you doing this? What's the reason? You aren't interviewing them about it. Like, how many owners have you talked to about this? Zero. And so that's what we got here. I would love to. I know they ain't gonna say anything either. For whatever reason, right? They got this thing going on where it's like a new trend. They go, oh, let's not pay these guys. I don't know, maybe they're just testing us like, hey, let's see what happens. Forcing us to be in a situation where, look, we are trying to fight for value. I understand they're trying to fight for value to, make sure, hey, let's try to get the most out of we can at the cheapest. And then we can spread and maybe pay the quarterbacks even more. But guess what? We're out there carrying the ball for you 400 times a year, right? Scoring all your touchdowns, and all the press around fantasy, right? Don't say we don't sell jerseys, all that stuff, because we're doing that too. We're making a big impact.
I can say "F you" to the Giants. I can say "F" to my teammates and be like, you want me to show you my worth? You want to show you how valuable I am to the team? I won't show up. I won't play it down. That's a play I can use. Anybody knows me, knows that's not something I want to do. But like, it's something that crossed my mind. It's like I never thought I would ever do that. But like now I'm at a point where it's like, Jesus, like I might have to take it to this level. And like, am I willing? Am I prepared to take it to the level? I don't know.
We've seen the same thing with NBA centers. Like, you have to have an NBA center, but if you overpay for an NBA center or you overvalue, it's going to cost you in other ways.
So this has been a crazy week if you're an NFL running back, as even the top guys in the position are being treated like peons. It's a really hard thing to explain, and I have no idea how to fix it, but teams have come to the conclusion that in order to be a great team, you don't necessarily need to allocate a lot of resources to the running back position, even if your running back's great. And this is a part of our value system as humans. NFL owners don't ask what makes sense for everybody and what's the most efficient way to get there. Instead, NFL owners, like most other humans, ask a much more devious question. They say, what can I get away with? Because the running back market has become highly saturated and several teams have been able to get away with significantly downgrading a position, but still finding ways to manufacture like 70-75% of what an elite running back would bring you. The industry as a whole has come to the conclusion that no running back has top value. Now, a lot of analysts really annoyed me this week trying to compare the running back position to NBA centers. See, the reason it annoys me is because this argument comes with a major oversight that no one seems to be addressing. Look, I get the comparison. Running backs and NBA centers were at one point in time the dominant position within each of their respective sports, but today that's generally no longer the case. There was a time in the NFL when people thought you couldn't win on a high level, at least, without a dominant running back. The same thing goes for NBA centers in their heyday, back when the tallest guy on the floor just had all of the advantages. But now both sports have changed to favor faster paced action. In the NBA, more and more teams are going with smaller lineups in order to spread out the floor and have more space to operate. They can run up and down faster without having to wait on the big man to run slow as hell down the court and then go post up on the block. Not to mention, going smaller generally raises the overall skill level of players on the floor together, which opens up way more offensive possibilities, you know what I'm saying? In the NFL, traditional running backs did suffer a similar fate. The game has obviously moved more to a heavy passing game. Quarterback became the focal point of nearly every offense. Then slowly over time, you saw number 1 receivers, number 2 receivers, and in some case, even number 3 receivers become more active in certain offenses than even the starting running back, and that amongst other things devalued the running back position as a whole. But there's one major difference between NBA centers and running backs that makes it so problematic, and this one issue is the main reason so many people are talking about NFL running backs not getting paid. See, the classic NBA center has a play style that is not conducive with the modern NBA. That old school center, bro, he can't shoot threes, meaning he can't space the floor and the defender can sag off him. Now that defender's free to help with the guy driving to the rim, and if you kick the ball out to your non-shooting center, there's nothing he can do with it but take a terrible shot or just pass the ball back out and try to reset the offense. Any smart defense, especially in the playoffs, is just gonna look to force that action every single time. That's the type of thing that leads to the offense being stagnant, inefficient, ineffective, or just overall bad. A lot of old school centers also can't play make, meaning pass well or comfortably handle the ball. This kind of makes them a waste of space on offense. So in key moments, that center is over sitting on the bench. Now you might think you'll get that value back over on the defensive end. And if the opposing center was just standing under the rim, you might be correct. But the other center is moving out trying to create some space as well. And Steph Curry just gonna run pick and roll until your flat-footed center end up having to switch on Steph, and once that happens, you know the outcome, bro. It's lights out. That's in a nutshell, but that's a lot of the reasons the NBA center was devalued. But why was the old school running back devalued? Similar reasons, actually. A lot of running backs with that old school style was only reliable doing one thing, and that's running the football. But when most teams become pass heavy, that guy can't be on the field if he's not a threat to comfortably run a route, catch the ball, and then turn that into more yards. If he's not a threat to catch the ball, then the defense don't have to respect him on pass plays, so then they could pay more attention to the rest of the offense. And even if the running back can catch but he can't pass protect, it's gonna be hard to have that guy out there in crunch situations. So my Bengals actually ran into this when we made it to the Super Bowl. If you recall that last play, Joe Mixon, our best back, wasn't even on the field, and it ain't because he can't catch, and it ain't because he can't run, it's because he's not a great pass blocker. So if a quarterback reads a blitz pre-snap or sees a guy that's going to be unblocked, he's going to communicate to his running back that he needs to stay in and pass protect. Or maybe if he's really good, the running back's making that read himself, but if he can't read it or can't physically make the block, you're getting sacked. So just like an NBA center, it doesn't make sense for teams to pay top dollar for a guy who can't do everything that I need from that role. If I got to pay a pass catching back and I got to pay a blocking back, it makes sense for teams to somewhat limit the contract that's being given to that starting running back. But what if you got a guy who can do everything in that role? What if he can run, catch, and pass block at a very high clip? All right, table that. In the NBA, there's this guy, and you probably heard about him. His name is Nikola Jokic. Nikola Jokic is an NBA center, and like we've discussed, centers have been devalued. But unlike many centers, Jokic can shoot the three. He can handle the ball and even play make better than a lot of guards. So in turn, his contract reflects the player that he is, regardless to the position that he plays. So Nikola Jokic is paid near the top of the league as a whole, as he should be, because he's one of the best players. But today's running back market doesn't work like that. There seems to be no path for a running back to earn a contract that pays him like he's one of the best players in the league. Saquon Barkley can obviously run the ball, plus we all know he can catch it at a high clip. But did you know that last year he was the highest graded running back when it comes to pass blocking in the entire NFL? Dallas Cowboys' Tony Pollard meets that criteria as well, but neither of them can get a contract that pays anywhere close to the top of the skill position market, excluding quarterbacks. Obviously, they get paid on a different scale. Now, running backs do have a propensity to get hurt more often, so if you told me I'm not giving that dude a crazy contract length, I can understand that argument. Like, that would make sense to me, but he's still one of the best players in the league, so something's got to shake. Maybe in exchange for long-term security, you compensate for that by giving shorter but much larger contracts. Something like a 2-year, $38 million. I'm not committing beyond that, but you will be compensated for your work. You'll be compensated for the fact that you get the hardest yards on the team. You might not get the most yards on the team, but these are the hardest to come by. You take the most punishment. You get hit every play by guys way bigger than you. Not like a receiver getting hit by a corner. Did you know that Austin Eckler had over 100 catches last year? But Flem, they were short passes. Okay, pay him like a slot receiver. He rushed for over 900 yards and ran for 13 touchdowns. And then he also had 700 yards receiving and 5 more scores. He basically had the same year receiving as somebody like Adam Thielen, who just signed a new contract that pays more than Austin Eckler's. Again, Eckler outproduced him last year in just the receiving category, and then was tied for like the 2nd or 3rd most touchdowns in the league. Not to mention Austin Eckler this season is gonna be 28 years old. Adam Thielen this season is gonna be 33 years old. And while the Chargers won't pay him like a top draft pick, they also won't trade him unless they get back high draft picks. Now, I'm not saying they should, like I obviously get their position, and I don't know the solution, but that's for the people denying that there's a problem.
Is the demise of running backs fair?
Yes, it's fair. I've seen the same thing with NBA centers.
So the reason the comparison between NBA centers and NFL running backs irks me so much is because everybody using this argument keeps leaving out the fact that if an NBA center can fit seamlessly into an offense and do everything that any other position might be asked to do, or if he's on a team that's clearly built around him, regardless of position, he'll still get paid like a top NBA player. But for running backs, it seems that there's nothing they can do to earn money equivalent to their actual value on the field. NBA centers are still getting paid in accordance to what they bring to a team, while NFL running backs are having their value artificially held down. You can be a top player and have top impact, but just because you're a running back, you still won't get paid. So Justin Herbert completed 477 passes last year, and Austin Eckler caught 107 of them. So 23% of all of Herbert's passes went to Eckler, but he can't even get paid like a number 3 receiver. Imagine being Josh Jacobs, getting the carry dangled in front of your face. You in a contract year, Josh. Go out there and show us your value. Man ran with more heart and determination than anybody in the league last year. Led the league in rushing and still ended up on the tag. One thing a lot of people have been running with is this whole Super Bowl winning running back salary chart that's been kind of making its way around social media. First off, the chart is misleading because it doesn't take into account that there's like 20 games played before you reach the Super Bowl. If you only look at the Super Bowl but don't consider how you got there, common sense tells you that that's not a fair way to assess a player's value. But even considering that, the list doesn't look great for running backs. So overall, I still think this is a win for the anti-running back camp. That being said, let's go and take a look at the quarterbacks who won and the percentage of the salary they took up. So people look at this and say, see, that's why you pay quarterbacks. I look at this and say, nah, that's why you pay top quarterbacks. Bro, look at this list. This is 20 years of Super Bowls and all but 4 players. So 16 out of 20 are Hall of Fame quarterbacks. That's why they won, and that's why they was paid. They didn't win because they were paid. They won because they were great. They got paid because they were great. That's how that actually works, bro. Brady, Mahomes, Manning, Russell Wilson, who fell off last year, but before that was on a Hall of Fame trajectory. Rodgers, Breeze, Big Ben Roethlisberger. That's the overwhelming majority of the list. So if you have a great quarterback, a Hall of Fame level quarterback, all this list tells me is you got a good chance to win the Super Bowl. This list also tells me that if you've got one of them, the chances are after their rookie deal, they're going to get paid. Great quarterback, great salary, Super Bowl, it all makes sense. Well, none of the Super Bowl teams had a high paid running back. Well, none of them had a quarterback who wasn't top 10 in passing yards or touchdowns, taking up 17% of the cap. So if you've been using this argument to justify why they shouldn't pay Saquon, then also trying to use it to say that they were right to pay Daniel Jones, the logic isn't there unless you think a great salary will automatically make Daniel Jones into a great quarterback. And if you know how humans work, you can probably come to the conclusion that if the Giants didn't drastically overpay Daniel Jones, then this whole Saquon mess would be a lot less messy. It makes sense for Pat Mahomes to take up a large percentage of the cap. It makes sense for Justin Herbert to take up a large percentage of the cap. It makes sense for Joe Burrow to take up a large percentage of the cap. So Austin Eckler and Joe Mixon, those are tough situations because as good as they are, they're not the best player on the offense. So that's an argument that will stand in both of those situations. But in the Giants situation, bro, or like the Titans, the few teams that build their offense around the running back. If you're on one of those teams, bro, it makes sense to me that the quarterback should make towards the bottom of the quarterback market and the running back on that team should make towards the top of the skill position salary, up much closer to what a top level receiver would make. And it's crazy because at this point it seems that the only reasonable goal would be for running backs to actually be treated like NBA centers, because if they were in situations where they're clearly the best player on the team or the offense is built around them, those running backs would be compensated like top players in the league, instead of having their salaries artificially held down, all because of 2 letters on an NFL depth chart.